The Blue Jewel.
Chapter 3. Part 5. The Denka was incorporated by doing a series of rather curious stretches. "For the gods, it's impossible," muttered Arian. Gosburg reached for his t-shirt, but it was torn and full of blood, so he saw his backpack and started looking for something. "Thanks to you, you owe this recovery so fast. You have a great talent." Arian was still perplexed. Gosburg put on another shirt. The pants had blood stains but did not seem to give it importance. "Do you have a healer name?" "Arian." The little Denka lit a cigarette and lay back on the bed. "Delighted, my name is E. of Gosburg, but you can call me Gosburg. I understand that you haven't seen many of mine. We tend to be infrequent in these cold lands. I am a Denka. Mercenary of the great company of the Blue Phoenix, now in the service of King Dasmir Ilanabad, Lord and Protector of the great kingdom of Demember." Gosburg bowed faintly with his gaze. Agnorak entered the room and cast a furious glance at the Denka, then came to him running. "Gosburg! You are an evil born." Agnorak had to contain his rage. "Luckily, so far no one has noticed anything. It's a miracle." The Denka took a puff on the carefree cigar again. The two young men looked at each other. Was Gosburg well in the head? Was this attitude a sequel to the injuries? Were cigars special? Arian tried to reason with the Denka. "Gosburg, do you know what mess you've gotten yourself into?" The Denka watched his companions in disbelief, then scratched his head, seeming to try to remember what happened the night before. "We closed the deal with the doctor. To celebrate, we played a game of cards. It's all confused in my head. I think I won and ended up injured during the celebration, surely." Gosburg was satisfied with the explanation, took off the t-shirt he just put on, and finally lay back on the bed. He hoped that the two young men would let him sleep what was left of his drunkenness. But her plans failed since Arian threw a jug of water on her head. She was fed up with Gosburg's indolence. This action of the young woman provoked the laughter of Agnorak. "It's okay to wash for once. I jerk the half-orc." Now the Denka had a furious look, but the young woman confronted him before Gosburg reacted. "Sorry, but it wasn't exactly like that. You did play cards and won, but your matchmates discovered that you had cheated and tried to finish you off in the alley, and you killed all three." "All three?" Gosburg was a little astonished by this news. "The doctor also. A man with grey hair. To tell the truth, that one was killed by your friend." Arian pointed to the half-orc. Agnorak under the head, while the young woman shook hers. There was nowhere to take them. "Now that's a big setback. We needed the doctor." "Doctor?" "Yes, His Royal Highness needed an expert to treat his terrible tummy aches. It was our mission in Xeres. If the king is such a great monarch, he will surely have more doctors. I had them." "What happened to them?" "They lost their minds prematurely." Arian was scared. She didn't understand anything. In one night she had seen what life was worth in Xeres, nothing, while the Denka tried to reassure her. "Yes, the head, they could not cure the belly pain of the monarch. The king, when he is in a bad mood, is not very permissive with inefficiency." "Your king is crazy." "Just normal. I did not think that a simple trap to give some spark to the game had such terrible consequences." Agnorak sighed. How would they explain this to Debok? It was crazy. "What are you going to do now?" asked Arian. "The truth is that they were in a good mess. If we return without the doctor, we will most likely lose our minds." The three of them fell silent, while the Denka wiggled his abdomen rhythmically. It looked funny. "This wound has turned out very well. Are you a healer?" "You're crazy, Gosburg." Agnorak tried to restrain himself. "Well, I know something about healing, but I'm not going to help you." The idea of Denka was so mad that it caused rejection in the two young men, although each had different motives. Do you know any remedy against bellyaches? Occasionally, but Gosburg, I'm not going to go with you to have my head cut off. Arian's main rejection was that although the company of the two mercenaries guaranteed him some protection by time, his destiny was to try to cure a mad king. Come on, I won't cut off your head. Only if you fail. But seeing how you have cured me, there will be no problem. Gosburg's words were of absolute confidence in her. Not to mention, you are crazy. I don't want to risk my life. I hope you leave this room at nightfall. I have already risked enough today. Arian was hard of the nonsense of the Denka. Gosburg seemed to give up as he closed his eyes and lay back on the bed. Agnorok sat on the ground and began to mutter curses. The young woman began to think about what excuse she would give Ordoni to explain the blood or the tearing of her sheets. The tone of voice of the Denka changed. It was the same voice, but it was not the same. There was something totally different in it. It emanated an authority that made the two young men astonished. Agnorok had never heard that tone in Gosburg. What was that damn Denka up to, thought the half-orc. We can provide you with a comfortable and easy escape. That is if he continued lying in bed without opening his eyes. What are you saying? Only if you accompany us your escape will be easier. Your position here is desperate. Soon the nomads of the north will return to their homes and you will be alone, surrounded by smugglers and other ilk who would sell her mother for 2 gold coins. Run away me, what nonsense, blood loss is affecting your head. You think people are idiots. Everyone thought you were a prostitute, but you were not looking for customers, so what are you? Thank goodness that the rumor that ran through the tavern said that you were a witch of the nomads of the north that has saved your life so far. If it were not for that, you would not be sitting here. Hearsay. Arian was worried. The half-orc raised an eyebrow. How the hell did Gosburg know about those rumors? For the gods. They hadn't been in Xeres for a day. That's if Arian started to be nervous and insecure for the first time. A witch from the north. Other drunks said you were a rebellious princess, and the less but more sensible said you were a fugitive accused of witchcraft or other less interesting things like adultery, or that you have an unwanted pregnancy. Imagination is free when coupled with liquor. A witch, incredible. It was a great luck, you are alive for that very reason. In Xeres they are very superstitious with witches. Killing them gives bad luck, or so they think, so they try not to anger them. If not, at least, you would have been robbed the first night, or perhaps Ordoni would have reported to the guard. But the fact that you dared to come alone to this place and be so mysterious made them think that you were a very powerful witch, and no one wants to suffer a curse that all their descendants drag. Arian was touched. She was alive by the superstition of bandits. Just for that. But he was tempting fate. Here is famous the legend of a witch who seduced young people and transformed them into goats and then cooked them. Although in the south some witches do not need to transform them to eat them. Gosburg already had the usual tone of voice, squeaky and jovial. You could not notice that power that emanated in his previous words. Gosburg, I think I have more options than you say. It's not such a desperate situation. Gosburg opened his eyes and stared at Arian. Do not tempt luck. Some were already beginning to doubt your powers. One of my companions commented that he was very tempted to pay you a visit one of these nights. Agnorok smiled. Of course the Denka is able to throw a good lantern, and also his source was dead to deny him. Also, if you are not running away, why do you have your luggage made and ready to start the march? You yourself were realizing that the situation here was untenable. You're making it all up for me to decide to join you because you can't go back to the king without anyone. My beautiful damsel, I will not deny that I am interested in your company because our current situation does not have a good prognosis, but recognize that I offer you a viable way out to leave Xeres and travel south. Besides, we're not going to ask you anything about your murky past. The situation was clear to Arian. The mercenaries had a travel plan to reach the capital of Beer. She had nothing, not a map. If he didn't accept, he would have to improvise. Arian sighed. I just have to cure a tummy ache and then I will be free. If only that, but if you succeed and gain the trust of the king, sure that you stay under his protection and no one can catch you. We'll see. Finally, Gosburg agrees to go with you on the condition that Ziri's exit plan convinces me. If I see that you are as unconscious as in the tavern, I will leave you immediately. Well, one thing, the king must be able to dine on lamb, which is his favorite dish. Arian was about to grab her backpacks and run away, but she remained silent, looking at the Denkka with displeasure. Agnorok was surprised. The damn Denkka had gotten away with it. No wonder the Bok held him in such high esteem that he was able to sell boots to a snake if he put his mind to it. Gosburg sat up on the bed and stared at the young woman, who was upset. What? Go downstairs and look for that fat Ordoni. Tell him anything to move his ass to this room. Arian was surprised. She didn't like orders. Let's go. Gosburg hastened her. Reluctantly, Arian left the room, slamming the door. Now the two mercenaries were left alone. Gosburg, you're crazy. The Bok will insert us into a spear for all this, and the king cuts off our heads. Quiet, Agnorok, we can only be killed once. The half-orc put his hands to his head. Snow ogres who eat their own feces are more sensible. We are mercenaries in the service of a king plunged into madness, and we have killed our only solution. You have killed. Agnorok looked with a certain hatred to the Denkka and then moved on. And then you entrust our destiny to a young woman who we do not know where she came from and who she is. You killed the doctor and you accepted his help to cure me without knowing her at all. And the crazy one is me. When I had the situation under control. Controlled.